People and natural resources on our planet are affected by land degradation, drought, and desertification. However, farmers around the globe develop solutions to improve land productivity and protect the environment. What do these solutions have in common, and which principles do they follow? Rainwater is the most limiting factor for food production in drylands. Farmers are facing water scarcity, extreme variability, long dry seasons, dry spells, droughts, and strong rainfall events with occasional floods. Nevertheless, precious rainwater is getting lost. During the growing season, loss through surface runoff is 10 to 30% of received rainwater and can reach 80% during heavy storms. Additionally, 50 to 70% of the water is lost directly through evaporation from the surface of soils that are not well protected and managed. What can farmers do to reduce this loss and increase water productivity? A key measure to reduce evaporation losses and enhance water infiltration is improving the soil cover by protecting the soil with living or dry vegetation. Henry plants trees on his land that provide mulch to cover the soil.
When I'm talking about agroforestry
in my farm, it's because there are so many advantages associated to the grevillea trees when they're in the farm. This is some of the mulching material that can be attained from the leaves of trees. You can see it's very good for moisture retention. The moisture content in mulched soils is very high as compared to this dry soil which was not covered. There's a lot of compaction and crusting in uncovered soil. It's like a stone. Njeru uses maize residues as mulching material to cover the soil. A benefit from the mulch spread here like this is that it helps to reduce soil erosion during the rains. It also helps to reduce water evaporating from the soil when the sun is shining. Njeru also traps runoff with the stone walls he constructed. Many water harvesting technologies exist to make use of rainwater runoff. Improving rain-fed agriculture also reduces the demand on irrigation water. Joseph constructed a small pond to trap runoff. This is rainwater. When the rain falls, the pond gets water from up there. When there is much rain, the water comes this way, because this is a waterway. When water comes here, it sinks inside and then comes to the pond.
It sinks inside and then it comes to the dam. The water
is coming from up the mountains. It's just following where there's a furrow. It comes by itself because God likes me. Peter makes use of rainwater by building small micro-catchments around his bananas.
I put the soil on this side.
I put the soil on this side to make a bench to conserve the soil. Arranging this soil here will help to stop the water which would run from the pit and cause erosion to remain here. A healthy and fertile soil is the foundation for good land productivity. Plants obtain nutrients from organic matter and minerals. Soil fertility declines if soil is eroded or compacted and the biomass and nutrient cycle is not sustained. This undermines the production of food, fodder, fuel and fiber. What do farmers do to maintain soil fertility and minimize or avoid soil erosion? Njeru, for instance, constructed stone walls on his lands to stop erosion and trap sediments. One of the most important benefits from this stone wall is the prevention of soil erosion. When I've started arranging this stone wall 20 years ago, if you look, this was the level of the ground. And since then, we've conserved over 1 foot of soil. On the side, there are papaya fruit trees which grow along the stone wall since there is enough moisture. Again, below here, the soil on this level is moist, as if it had rained recently. Similarly, Peter built Fanya dew terraces on his steep plot to conserve soil and water.
I had enough
produce of maize and beans to feed my family. I have enough animal feed. I've retained soil and water.
You can see the effects of soil erosion.
I am now on my neighbor's land, and you can see the effects of soil erosion. You can see that she did not produce enough for the family.
So I am advising her
to build terraces so that she can have enough for the family and for her animals.
Enough for the family and for her animals.
Different measures are taken by farmers to disturb the soil to a minimum. Zero tillage, non-inversion tillage and direct seeding prevent the destruction of the soil structure and allow the building up of organic matter. Instead of now ploughing as we normally plough, you need to apply a herbicide that will kill or that will suppress all the already growing weeds. After suppressing the weeds, Henry is ripping or subsoiling and then plants directly.
The advantage of this equipment is that
it only opens the line, but no turning of the soil. It will expose no soil on top of the surface. To compare, Henry is showing what happens on a conventional plot that was ploughed.
You can see the compaction.
You can see the compaction on conventional farming, whereby the water loss is very high and water infiltration is very little. Maintaining or building up of the soil's organic matter and the creation of a good environment for soil organisms like earthworms or termites is essential. Different measures such as improved residue management, crop rotation, compost and manure management can be applied. I decided to set up a cattle shed which will assist me in collecting quality manure that will be very rich in nutrients that are required by the plants. That's why I've cemented the floor and put up the roof that will protect it from water and also sunlight. This manure is of very good quality as compared to some other manure which is exposed to direct sunlight.
I always see it good
to apply some manure so as to have fertility and also to improve the soil structure. In his conservation agriculture plot, Stanley applies intercropping.
This is another
plot where I'm planting a cover crop called black beans or Dolichos lablab. They're very good when you intercrop with maize. The other thing is they are edible. They are good for human consumption, for fodder, and even for nitrogen fixing in the soil. After harvesting this maize, I'm not going to cut the stover. I just leave it to assist the Dolichos to climb, to have more production. Protecting the land against high temperatures and strong sunshine, heavy winds and storms through windbreaks, shade trees and cover improves the microclimate in dry and warm areas. The result is reduced evapotranspiration losses, reduced direct damage on plants, and the maintenance and improvement of soil health. What do farmers do to maintain a good microclimate?
Field of conservation agriculture.
It's a field of conservation agriculture. I usually like it to be intercropped with trees. In this area, I plant grevillea because it's associated with a lot of benefits like windbreak. It controls the wind when there's excessive wind. Crops under conservation agriculture normally grow very tall, so they're heavy, and in times of heavy winds that come with some rains, the crop may have the tendency of falling down. Now the trees become very important in this case because they break that wind and the force of the wind is reduced. All measures to improve water use efficiency, soil fertility and the microclimate are enhancing resilience to climate variability and extremes, bringing food security to rural households in drylands. By building the stone walls on his land, Njeru manages to get yield also during dry spells. When working, other people challenge me, saying, "Is this person okay? This work cannot pay back. But recently they found that the work I'm doing is beneficial, and the same people who are laughing at me are adopting my example.
Na tena wao wale walikuwa kinichekelea wanaiga mfano wangu. Ilinganisha mazao ya mwaka huu ya hii.
If I compare the yields from my farm from this year and other farmers' yields who have not done the work I've done, I see a big difference.
Kazi kama hii yangu. Ninaona
I have harvested something and they nothing. They ask, does this person have his own rain? Yet the rains are the same everywhere.
Huyo mtu ako na mvua yake. Manake mvua ni ile ile. Amevuna na sisi hatujavuna.
Making maximum use of rainwater, covering the soil and creating best possible conditions for crop and fodder production can not only prevent from harvest failures, but provide essential benefits and ensure food security to people in dry areas.